You are listening to the Explicit Truth Podcast. Hey, welcome back to the Explicit Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Yahusha Messiah, and we back for another one. Praise Yahuwah, man. Shalom to you. Praise Yahusha. Man, we back. We back, man. Just giving thanks to Yahuwah for just allowing us to make it through the holiday season. You know what I mean? And get to this point, you know, getting ready for the new year in the spring. And man, it's you know, give thanks to Yahuwah, man. The last podcast we did was Explicit Truth Podcast. That was about the Marine Kingdom. That was 6 months ago. But you know how it worked, man. You know, it just depends. You know what I'm saying? I just been you know, just growing in Yahusha, you know, the family, and just, you know, fatherhood, you know, and film, and working on a couple things. And so it's been a little minute since we've been back to chat with you on the Explicit Truth Podcast, but nevertheless, we are back, and we just give thanks to Yahuwah that he allowed us to come back again on the podcast. Let's go. Let's go. So, as the title says, we talking about the Book of Enoch deception. Now, I know you want to listen to the first 5 minutes to see what I'm going to say, you know what I'm saying? And before you click off the video, man, but I pray that you keep watching this thing to the end, because what Yahuwah has given, it shut down the Book of Enoch for 1,000 seats. You know what I'm saying? It shut it down, man. Like, for real, man. And I'm gonna give you a background before we get into it, so you know where I'm coming from when it comes to the Book of Enoch. So for a long time, most people, when you talk to them, and when you would talk to me about the Book of Enoch, let's say years ago, you know, when I go back on my Facebook, you know, years, you know, probably like 5+ years ago, I gave Enoch 1 a pass. You know, Enoch 2, Enoch 3, everybody gonna say, okay, man, Enoch, they flying. He flying somewhere, right? Something else, right? Enoch 1, you generally get a pass for a number of reasons. It gets a pass, right? And I gave it a pass. I quoted it about the calendar. You know, I quoted it. So you may be coming into this and be a Book of Enoch fan, right? So I would just, number one, you know, we just give thanks to Yahuwah for the revelation through the Ruach HaKodesh, through Yahusha, and what I'm looking at is the Book of Enoch deception, right? This thing is serious, bro. So let me go back to my personal thing. So you asked me a couple years ago, 5+ years ago, I'm saying, man, you know, probably even 5+ years ago, I'm probably going a little more hard on the Book of Enoch, you know what I'm saying, as far as like accepting it. But then probably like, you know, when in that other time frame, I'm tiptoeing, I'm on the fence about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't know about the Book of Enoch. I'm talking about Enoch 1, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. And so, like I said, you may be on the fence about it. You may be totally into it. You may have read it cover to cover, you know, and whatever. But what I will say is take this to Yahuwah in prayer right now, to pray before we get into this, man, because it's about to be heavy. This is serious. This is serious matters right here, okay? Like, we getting into it, you know what I'm saying? It's no games out here. The Book of Enoch deception is not that, you know, let's just get into it, right? So let's give a little background, so we're going to go into it. Feel free to drop your comments or anything. in the comment section to talk about it, whatever. But, you know, and I'm recording this at 11:16 p.m. It was a praise Yahuwah, man. So, you know, may he give us strength to just be, you know, go through this thing and let it be on your plate. You know what I mean? Let it be on your plate and take what you will with it, right? Book of Enoch deception, right? So check it out. So Enoch lives before the flood, and I'm gonna be this some basic stuff that you know, but we're gonna build it up to go through it so you can see what's happening. The Book of Enoch deception. What you trying to say? You trying to say we, you know, the Book of Enoch. We've been reading the Book of Enoch. It's good. The falling, this and that. You know, the Book of Enoch. We're gonna talk about it. Enoch lives 365 years. He lives before the flood, right? Hanok or Hanok, right? That's proper pronunciation. Hanok was 65 when he had Methuselah. So if you know about Methuselah, you know they got them old jokes. You say you older than Methuselah. You know Methuselah lives to be, I believe, he lives to be 969 years. 969 years. That's how long Methuselah lives, right? Before the flood. Hanok, right? That means his name means dedicated. You're going to remember that. Remember that, right? So Hanok was 365 when he was taken from the earth and seen no more, right? So I'm of the persuasion that he was like literally taken, like he was like some people, but other persuasion that means he was just died and went to go sleep with the fathers. You know, when it went up to Shamayim, in a sense of like passing on past his life. I'm of the persuasion that like he was gone. Yeah, I took him, disappeared, he gone. You know what I'm saying? Caught up. Like Elijah, you know what I'm saying? You know, how it went down, well, I don't know, but he was gone. Like you know, like just went up. I mean, now okay, so now the Book of Enoch. So now when we get to the Book of Enoch, the Book of Enoch that you know that's out there, right? So just so you know, so there's a couple versions. There was some, supposedly there's some Aramaic fragments, right, that's found. They said the Greek didn't survive, but it was translated into the Ethiopian, right? And so you have translation. I think it's Charles R.H. Charles has a translation, and then you have a translation. You know, I have a couple translations out there, right? Now, but the book starts off, and they say the book, the person in the story, supposedly, and I'm gonna use words like supposedly and allegedly and all that stuff, is allegedly Enoch, right? Now, Enoch lived, once again, I told you, before the flood, right? So the flood is happening, you know. Because you got to remember, Adam lived 900 and something odd years. I think it's around 930. Let me see. Let me get that information for you. Let me see. Adam lives 900. Yeah. 930 years, right? So the last person before Noah to be living that died was Methuselah, right? Of what we know. I'm talking about from the righteous lineage, right? So if Enoch, according to the Book of Enoch, he has his vision, you know, he's later, he brings the information down, he's later taken, all this other stuff. So if he has a vision, if allegedly, right? If according to this book, what they're saying, Enoch has a vision, he passes. He would have to pass the information on to Methuselah. So you got Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, and then you got Shem, and so on and so forth. Right? I'm talking about the righteous lineage. So this would have to be passed down verbally. Supposedly, if we testing it. 1 John 4:1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are of Aluah. Right? So we testing the spirit of the so-called Book of Enoch. Right? So now what's interesting now, this is what's interesting. What's interesting, if this book is authentically, because the author says that this is Enoch. That's how that is in there. That this is Enoch. They saying this ain't what we heard about Enoch. They saying it's Enoch that was taken. 365 years gone from earth, right? So he would have had to have the vision and passed it to Methuselah, Lamech, or Noah, right? This is and then going down the line, it had to be an oral tradition about this book, right? Now, what's interesting is Moshe, who records the Torah hundreds of years later, makes no mention of Enoch's vision. You can say, well, that ain't nothing. Moshe, the children of Israel could have had the book and they never said nothing about it, right? So we know, according to the Torah, that you got Exodus chapter 20, you got Exodus 24:12, 34:27. The Torah was given to Yahusha. That was the commandments. That was the Torah. Yahuwah writing with his finger, the 10 words. Exodus chapter 20. Even before then, Exodus 19, 20, they going up to hear Yahuwah speaking and speak to him verbally. So where is the book? Where is the book of Enoch? All these very detailed things, is said to be oral tradition, and nobody's speaking of it in the Torah. But we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. That's not even where we're going. You know what I'm saying? Now you would have to say they hide in the book. They hide in the book. The information then went from Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, got passed down, and eventually got to Noah, and they just hide in the book. They got the book of the Torah. They got the law, commandments, and they hide in the book of Enoch somewhere, right? They either got it in the oral tradition, the very detailed thing, the oral tradition, or you saying, or people saying, or assume to be saying that they just hiding it because, whatever. But we know Yahuwah says in Exodus 30:9, he said, no strange fire among you. There's no strange fire among you. So they either hiding the book in their heart or they hiding it in the camp somewhere. You know how Yahuwah feel about people hiding stuff, right? We won't hear nothing about it in the Torah, first 5 books, right? Now I'm gonna get right into it. We're gonna start diving into it, right? Because I know you may be trying to skip through and try to see what I'm really gonna say. You know what I'm saying? But I pray in Yahusha Shem that you patient and you really just go to Yahuwah about this. Okay, so our brother, our aunt, Shaul, says 3 times. 3 times he says this, right? He says, therefore rebuke them sternly so that they will be sound in the faith, not giving heed to Yahudim myths and the commandments of men, turning away from the truth. So he's saying Yahudim myths will turn you away from the truth. That's Titus 1:14. Now he says again, he said this to Timothy now. Look, he said, look, or devoted ourselves to myths and endless genealogies, which promote speculation. Rewind that back. Or devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies, which promote speculation rather than stewardship of Aluah's work, which is by faith. 1 Timothy 1:14. Oh, that's very interesting. 1:14, I think. Now, what's interesting in both of these things, he said, look, this is what the Ruach is speaking through the Ak Shaul. He's saying Yahudim myths will turn you away from the truth. Then he go further and say the myths promote speculation rather than the stewardship of Aluah's work, which is by faith, amunah, aman, trust. Right? Now he says to Timothy again, 2 Timothy 4:4, he says, so they will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. Now, he's talking about these myths. He's warning us. He's warning us about something. He's saying the Yahudim got myths. He's saying the Yahudim got myths. And he's saying, look, bro, these myths, twice he said, look, hey, these myths is going to turn you away from the truth. Who was the truth? Yahusha, right? He's saying the myths is going, and it's going to promote speculation, because we know prophecy is not by private interpretation, but men being moved by the Ruach HaKodesh, the unction of the Spirit, they prophesied, right? Now, what is myths and fables that he's talking about? Some versions use fables, right? It means speech, words, saying, falsehood, fiction, invention, tale, initiated into mysteries, fables, right? And I actually went from the Greek word because, you know, most of the New Testament is, you know, what we have is in Greek. So when you compare that word myth and fables, you get H7328. Means secrets. Now, I'm going over a lot of information. If you have any questions about any resources or anything that you may want me to send to you, you know, I can do my best to get that over to you. So it means secrets, right? So these fables, myths, secrets, right? Now, let's go over the history of the Book of Enoch, so we could, like I said, 1 John. Don't get mad now. Don't get mad, because we have to what? 1 Yochanan 4:1. We have to test the spirit, because this Book of Enoch deception is not just about this book. It's something way bigger. It's something way bigger than what's happening, like than what's just this book. It's something diabolical that's going on. Diabolical. You know what I'm saying? I'm say every syllable of it. Diabolical. That's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's diabolical. You just remember that, put that in your brain, put that in the back and fold that up in a piece of paper and put that in the and put that in the corner right there. It's diabolical. Now, the history of it now, these things show up. The book of Enoch, they first show up. Now remember, Enoch done lived before the flood. Before the flood now. And the book show up at Qumran community with the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it's an ancient book, you know, Qumran. We're going to go over the history of Qumran, right? Qumran community, you had roughly, historians say, you know, somewhere between 150 BC and 104 BC. Right? And then it all the way goes down to, there's some other historians that say, you know, dated down to 31 BC and so on. Now let's talk about this. So you have the main historians that talk about the Qumran community is Josephus, Philo, another guy named I know I'm gonna get this name, feeling. I know I'm getting that wrong. Filing. I know I done chopped this guy name up, but you know what I'm saying. Flinny. Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. You know what I'm saying. But if you need the notes on it, I got you. Right. So check it out. It's scenes. So when you get to the Qumran community, you hear this word pop up. It's scenes, right? It's scenes. And the Essenes are one of the groups. Most historians say there were three major groups. You got the Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, right? And some people, you will see that they link a lot of the Essenes in with kind of both those groups, right? The Essene word is, from what I understand, is like an Aramaic mix, you know, but it means pious one. Remember all these things, right? So story goes that before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about, hold on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the history, but I'm gonna just talk about a little bit about the Essene community, right? That they were led by a Zadok priest called the Teacher of Righteousness. That's what he was called, right? That's what he called himself. This community, they were voluntarily in poverty, like meaning that basically like, you know, they would like sell everything, you know, kind of like a different type of version of like Acts. You know, they took on, but they seriously took on like wanting to be in poverty because in a sense of like bring everything because they felt like it brought more righteousness or whatever, right? They said they dressed in white. They were strict on the Sabbath, like real strict on the Sabbath. Like word is on the street about the Essenes, like you could like kind of like Orthodox, like they said you couldn't poop on the Sabbath. Yeah, you couldn't defecate on the Shabbat. That's what they said. They saw themselves as the sons of light, right? Who were going to defeat the sons of darkness. And they had different Messiah type of figures. They had a Messiah figure. Talking about like in the literature and they thought process, they had a Messiah figure of Aaron, and then they had a Messiah figure of for Israel, and believed the two people would be like two people would be the king and one person would be the priest, and they believe in different offices, like basically like, because you know how if you get into early Yahudim situations, you know, some people just like kind of how the Pharisees was thinking one thing, you know, even the disciples, you know, they thought, they said, are you going to, I think in the book of Acts in the first chapter, they were saying, you know, are you going to, you know, what did they say? Let me see. What did they say? Acts 1. Let me see. Acts 1. What did he say? Look, he said, this is Acts 1, right? They said, Master, would you at this time restore the reign of Yisrael? So there was different thought processes in, you know, who Mashiach would be, what he would do. And so even, you know, one of the taught ones is saying, would you restore Yisrael at this time, would you restore the reign? So the Essenes believe that one person really wasn't going to be the king and priest. It was going to be two different people, right? Like I said, they had different Messiah figures. Now they was really deep on angels. They was once again, you're going to put that in your bag, and just, carry on, right? They was really deep on angels, like so much so that they felt like angels was always with them, always around them. And, that's why they were so strict on things, is because they felt like if the more strict and like set apart they could be, the more the angels would help them in et cetera, right? Keep that in your bag. They also believe that they would build the temple of Ezekiel, right? So if you go, you see that, you got the tabernacle, then you had Solomon's temple, and then you got the Ezekiel temple, which is like the future, in which, is connected to Yahusha and everything. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit about they kind of like they movements, their thought process. We're going to get into more of that in a little bit. But so the history of it, and it's stay awake, you know what I'm saying? Stay awake, keep it moving, stay awake. You here, you listen to the Explicit Truth podcast. I'm your host, Yahusha. I appreciate you just taking the time. Praise Yahuwah, praise Yahusha for you to taking the time to check this out, man. This is really important. The Enoch deception, man. I'm just so thankful that Yahuwah is releasing this information. I'm telling you, man. Look, so 160 BC, after the Maccabean revolt, the teacher of righteousness, right? Remember the guy that called himself teacher of righteousness? After the revolt and the destruction of the temple, not the destruction of the temple, but the desecration. So about the Maccabees and the desecration with the pig and Antiochus, all that stuff, right? So apparently, after Judas Maccabee is out the picture, Jonathan Maccabee is with this guy called the teacher of righteousness, right? Right. So 150 BC, a Greek king named Alexander Ballas offered Jonathan, supposedly, allegedly, right, offers Jonathan Maccabee to be the king and high priest if he backed him, right, for whatever military situation, whatever's going on, right? So he takes the offer, and the people that's with this teacher of righteousness guy, he has like a community with him. And so some of them go to Damascus. They said some of them went to Galilee. Some of them went to end up relocating again and going back to the Dead Sea, right? And this is the making of the what we talked about, the Qumran community, right? This is the making of the Qumran community, right? But supposedly there's pockets. It may seem from this side of the fence like there's different sects of even the scenes, maybe different thought patterns and everything like that. So they may not all be thinking on the same wavelength, so to speak. Now, allegedly, some historians say that some of the Pharisees came out of the group that was supporting Jonathan Maccabee to become the high priest, right? And now what's interesting, one of the historians pointed out that he said that these scenes that were with this teacher of righteousness person, but ended up breaking off from him and going with the Jonathan Maccabee to support him, became part of the Pharisee people, and they were supporters of and allies of the Heronian dynasty. So it's like, because you see when you get to Yahusha coming on the scene, there seems to be a definite link between the Yahudim, and we talked about an identity theft, how it was like the Sadducees was, the money people and all that stuff, but it seems to be like the Pharisees and you know, these people, they have some kind of connections with the Herodian dynasty that's going to be, you know, in Jerusalem and everything, right? Now, so you got that going on. So that's a little background. And then of course they said, I don't know if it's connected because we didn't really get, you know, it wasn't really revealed all the way. But there was a big earthquake in 31 BC, in which Josephus says that 10,000 men perished in the earthquake. And there's some archaeological evidence that suggests that that Qumran was abandoned after the earthquake. Because remember, you know, they end up finding the Dead Sea Scrolls there, but it said that the 31 BC was possibly when this earthquake may have shut that community down, which is, I will say, if that's true, I mean, the earthquake is very big anyway, you know, like earthquakes are sometimes like judgments and stuff like that, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting, right? But you're going to find out more about this Qumran community. All right. You know what I'm saying? All right, we back to it. Okay, so now back to the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch deception. It's not just, oh man, just, bro, what I said earlier. It's diabolical, bro. What's going on is diabolical. Diabolical. Capital D. Right? Check this out. The Book of Watchers. Right? Chapter 1 through 36. Now we only dealing with the first Book of Enoch. Because I'm assuming, like most people, you shut down Book of Enoch 2 and 3, but we talking about 1 now. It's on the chopping block. It's being tested. The spirit of it being tested to see, did Yahuwah authorize this book by the Ruach HaKodesh? We're gonna find out, right? The Book of Watchers, chapter 1 through 36, written now. This is what some is, because they actually been doing a lot of research on these books recently too, and you know, we don't believe everything they saying. You know, we got to compare notes, and most of all, you know, pray to Yahuwah to lead us and guide us into all truth, as the Ruach HaKodesh does. But if you check it out, they saying that the first part of the Book of Enoch, chapters 1 through 36, the Book of Watchers, they say it was written likely around 200 BC, around Mount Hermon. And they say that's very interesting because, you know, in the Book of Enoch, it talks about, you know, how the fallen came down on Mount Hermon, you know, naming all the messengers and stuff like that, right? That's what they conclude. And they conclude that 37 through 71, the book of parables, was complete around the death of Herod the Great. That's about 4 AD. Now I just came across another historian, right? He just published a book like November 2023, talking about this Son of Man thing, which we're gonna get into. His name is Richard Bauckham, and he said, which is also very plausible, but we'll get into that, is he said he believes it was it was finished around the 1st century, 2nd century AD. He pushes it back that far to say, you know, because remember, Yahusha was born likely 1 BC. 1 BC. So Herod died some 3 years plus after that, Herod the Great, because remember, they went to Mizraim to flee and all that, right? Now this is the Richard Bauckham, and this is interesting, and I'm not relying on, you know, totally on his information, because Yahuwah was already revealing this in the Ruach, and then, you know, when I got to his information, I was like, oh, that confirms what Yahuwah was showing. But Now, he says that the first book, now, because remember, now, as we get into it, because if you familiar with the Book of Enoch, you may not know this, but it's a lot of people that's coming into the truth. Or you've been in the truth. You subscribe to the Book of Enoch, but it's a lot of different things we're gonna talk about. How you're gonna have to process this, right? Right now, the first Book of Enoch, from as I've got into it, and now, just to be 100. I haven't read it to cover, right? Because my spirit never really fully accepted it, but I have read good portions of it, right? So I'm gonna just put that out there so you know where I'm coming from with that. Because my main thing is, what's the spirit? What is the spirit? Now, as I was going, now let me pause because. And go to another place. Is one of the things recently why I even got on the Book of Enoch, why it just came to like my attention. Number one, just Yahuwah just brought it to my attention, and I was listening to one of these Israelite mores, and they had this really strange belief about Mashiach. It was really strange. It was like this modalist, Unitarian, Bonitarian type of situation. It was just weird. It was like, because we talk about on this channel, we talk about modalism, we talk about Trinitarianism, and he was talking against Trinitarianism, but he was all promoting this strange belief, and he used the Book of Enoch to justify this belief. Now that was a while ago. That was maybe a few months ago, right? And then recently, this sister online was like talking about, I was like, the Ruach had me listening to her testimony to see if she had the testimony of Yahusha. And she, when I first listened to her the first day, I was like, oh, it sounds like it. It sounds like she got the testimony, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't, she never made the confession. And I was just praying. I prayed to Yahuwah. I said, Yahuwah, does this sister have a confession, of Yahusha? And the next day, Yahuwah revealed it, that she didn't. Right? And she had this weird belief again about Yahusha. It was this modalism, hybrid 2.0 type of Unitarian bonnet. It was wild. It was confusing. It was like, yo, this is very deceptive. Whatever they doing some real trickery, Nahash type of stuff, right? Serpent, divining. And maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know they doing that. You know what I'm saying? People on their spells, they don't know. But it was and the wild part about it is, again, guess what she used to justify this belief? The Book of Enoch. So when that happened, I was like, yo, Yahuwah, what is going on with the Book of Enoch and this wild belief? And it got me in it. And now we on this Explicit Truth podcast. We on this Explicit Truth podcast because it brought me to this situation where Yahuwah was just like unpacking this thing. Unpacking this thing. And I'm like, man, like, I'm just thankful because, like I said, I was never like fully into it, but I justified the Book of Enoch before. Like I quoted from it before. And it was a doorway. You know what I'm saying? It was a doorway, but praise be to Yahuwah, praise be to the Lamb that, to Aluah and the Lamb belongs salvation. So praise Yahuwah, man, for just delivering me and my wife from the spirit that is in this Book of Enoch, right? And we're going to talk about it. So as I got through it, we're going to talk about a couple arguments. But the first and major argument that we're going to talk about, what shuts this book down to throw it in the trash. You heard it right. Throw the book in the trash. Get it out your house. I'm going to say that again. Get it out your house. If you got one of them lost book things, rip it out. And I know I'm a little bit early before, you maybe want to hear everything before you do it, but you're going to hear it. Okay. Because once again, Son of Man. So we're going to deal with this Son of Man thing. Right. So if you read the book cover to cover, I'm sure you came across this Son of Man thing. Now, what's interesting is Richard Bauckham, and what I've seen is that the place where you first encounter a term called the son of Enoch, right, is in the book of Daniel. Now let's read it. Let's read the book of Daniel, right? The book of Daniel. Now, once again, we already established that unless you want to go on some fantasy stuff, right, that this book is very far removed from Enoch. Very far from removed. And the first time it's found is in Qumran community. And the Qumran community is on something else. They flying. They Pharisees. Right? I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. They moving. The people that Yahusha was coming against, these are likely people that's linked to them, right? So you find the book there, and they try to be ultra righteous type of people. They dealing with they talking about these angels and all this other stuff, right? Now this is where now it could be speculation, right? In somebody's mind that, oh, maybe it's not connected, but I see a connection. You know what I'm saying? I see a connection with the Qumran community and the book coming out of this place. And we're going to see more connections when we get into it. So the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and when you go down to what? Let me see. 13. Now this is very, hey, I'm going to say this, but this is exciting, right? I was looking in the night visions and saw one like the son of Enoch coming with the clouds of the heavens. And he came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So this passage is in the book of Daniel, right? So it's a future Mashiach type of passage, because it's talking about this Ancient of Days who, reading this, one would not now once again, now understand, the people at the Qumran community, the people of the time where this book, now remember, also let me point on this point, is that, remember, I said that the Book of Watchers is said to be written around 200 BC on Mount Hermon, and then the when we get into the Son of Man terms, right? We get into the Son of Man type of situations. You're going to see that is specifically more in the book of parables, which is once again dated from 4 AD to the end of the first, the end of the first or the beginning of the second century. It's important. So you have to understand that whoever is writing this has access to the book of Daniel. Now, what's very interesting was, and it should already be red flags to you and to you, and they should be going off, is how in the world is they saying that Enoch is talking in first person and saying he is the person writing the book and telling you the story. And this book is found in Qumran, right? There's no record of it before, right? And Moshe don't say nothing. Nobody says nothing. Pops up at this place. Some thousands of years later. Then Enoch was on there. And once again, I told you, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah. So you saying you would have to say it's oral tradition until it got written down. And you saying all this was very specific, right? Now, one of the strongest cases for validity with this book, supposed validity, is this son of man thing. So we're going to look at this. We're going to look at this son of man thing. What are they talking about? The son of man, son of Adam, right? Adam is man, mankind, right? Now, what I've came to the conclusion of what Richard Bauckham kind of hints at in his book about son of man is that they are drawing, once again, they are drawing from, because they use the Ancient of Days term also, and you only see that in the book of Daniel. So it's not like they writing this before the book of Daniel to have the Ancient of Days term to XYZ, right? So they getting this from the book of Daniel. I'm talking about this son of man character. Supposedly, allegedly. I'm going to use that word again. Allegedly. So son of Enoch, the Enoch being kind of like the I believe it's the Aramaic equivalent. Yeah, the Aramaic term is similar to Ben Adam or Ban Adam, which is son of Adam, but not the exact equivalent. And when you look it up, when you go into it, now what's interesting is this says, I was looking in the night visions and saw one like. So what is Daniel saying? Daniel saying is I saw, he saw the vision of the night, and he's saying he sees one like the son of Enoch. So this person looks like a man that's coming in the clouds of heaven, right? He's coming in the clouds of heaven, and it looks like a man, right? So once again, I believe that the first book of Enoch draws heavily on Daniel chapter 7, and really this whole chapter and a lot of other things like in Isaiah and stuff. So the book of Daniel has this portrayal of this son of man figure, right? Or the one who looks like the son of man, right? Son of Enoch. And the Ancient of Days, and it's talking about later, if you read the book of Daniel in chapter 7, it's talking about how, and to him was given rulership, presence of a reign, that all peoples, nations, and languages would serve him. His rule is an everlasting rule which shall not pass away. His reign is that which shall not be destroyed. So it goes on there, right? Now, so from Daniel 7, they built this son of man figure that is going to be in this first book of Enoch, right? So, and once again, I already said that the Ethiopian community has the book of Enoch, and they translated it from the Greek into the Ethiopian language, and it's the only survives in the Ethiopian language, right? The book, right? Now remember, the Essenes were Yahudim. Now I'm gonna say this beforehand, before we get into it, so you can understand a little bit about it. Now there's many different terms how you can describe the early Yahudim, and when I say Yahudim, I mean whether you want to say Pharisees, Sadducees, but they had a different beliefs. But it seems let's link them in with the fact that the Pharisees. It was very, I don't want to say monotheistic, but it's like, because when you start using these terms, you try to linguistics and all that stuff. Basically, I'm gonna just talk plainly so we don't get things misconstrued, right? Is they believe like it's only Yahuwah up there, right? And they believe in Mashiach type of figures, right? But they didn't believe a man could be, Aluah, right? it's a lot like the Unitarians. You know, Unitarians, you know, they have different type of sects, but a lot of Unitarians believe that it's only Abba, Yahuwah, and there are Mashiach type of characters that are chosen, that are elected, that are risen up to become a Mashiach for the people, right? Now, let's go. Okay, so if you're following me, the book of Daniel is, once again, the scholars said this book is removed from Enoch, and Enoch is not, let's just say it plainly, Enoch is not the writer of this book. That's already been established, is that Enoch is not the writer of the book. I'm saying, you repeat it to yourself so you can hear it. Enoch is not the writer of the book. It's been established, right? We know you don't play the jump in the hoops. You know, they pass it down orally to Shem, and you know, and it eventually bypassed, you know, Moshe, and they had the book, and no, right? Enoch is not the writer, right? So somebody done wrote this book under Enoch's persona and name, which is a whole nother conversation we're gonna have in a little bit, right? Now let's go. Let's go into this, right? Because the book, once again, remember, chapters 37 through 71, the book of parables, is where you get this Son of Man character. Now, this is what's going to be interesting, because we're going to look at some of these Son of Man verses. It says the vision he saw, this is the so-called book of Enoch, the second vision of wisdom, which Enoch saw, the son of Jared, the son of Maleo, the son of Canaan, the son of Enos, the son of Seth, and the son of Adam, right? So that son of Adam is the son of man, right? Because Adam is man, right? Now that's 37:1. That's how when he starts out. That's when the writer starts off with this thing. Now this is gonna be very interesting. You got to follow the story. You got to follow the narrative, and we got to go through it, man. Don't go to sleep, man. You listen to the Explicit podcast. I'm your host, Yahusha, and we are talking about the Book of Enoch deception that is very diabolical, and we got to get into it, right? So, chapter 39, verse 4. And there I saw. Now this is gonna be follow. Just keep up. And there I saw another vision, the dwelling place of the holy, and the resting place of the righteous. And here my eyes saw the dwelling place with the righteous angels, and their resting places with the holy. And they petitioned and interceded prayers for men and for the children of men. Righteousness flowed as water. Okay, blah. Okay, do. Now, when we hop down to verse 6, it says, and in that place my eyes saw the elect one of righteousness and faith. Now, when you hear elect one or chosen one or son of man, this is supposed to point to this son of man, Mashiach type of figure, right? Now, a lot of Christians, a lot of Hebrew Israelites, that's kind of, searching things, looking for things, searching things, you know what I'm saying? Kind of use this to justify Mashiach, right? And we're going to see if it holds the test. If it holds the test, right? We got to test all things in Yahusha. So this elect one is elect one of righteousness. He says, and I saw his dwelling place under the wings of the master of spirits, and righteousness shall prevail in his days, and the righteous and elect shall be numbered before him forever and ever. There I wish to dwell my spirit long for that dwelling place. Now, one of the people that was talking about this made a very interesting observation. Is there can be an assumption, and it can go either way, that the dwelling place that because he saw the dwelling place of the set apart righteous people. He saw the dwelling place of the angels. And then he sees the dwelling place of the elect one of righteousness. And it could sound like that he's saying he would like to dwell where this elect one of righteousness and faith is. But he saw the other two, which was the righteous and the other angels. Now keep that in your pocket. Keep that in your pocket. You may not see it like that, but keep that in your pocket, that he wants to dwell. He wants to dwell where this elect one is. Very interesting. 46. Let's go to 46:3. It says, "Son of man, whom you behold." Okay. So now let's go to this. So when you go to the Enoch 46 and you go to 2 and 3, Enoch asks him who he sees this son of man figure, and he says, "Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Who is this?" He's pointing to he's pointing that man out, and he's saying, "Who is this person that I'm seeing that is with the Ancient of Days?" Now, one of the things which first, I put this on my story on Facebook, if you're on my Facebook or YouTube and all this other stuff. One of the first things that Yahuwah revealed to me were really. You are listening to the Explicit Truth Podcast.